Thank you for joining us at NTT IR Day out of your busy schedule. We appreciate your kind participation. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Fujiki with the NTT's IR office, and I'll be serving as the facilitator and the moderator today. Today, we have prepared presentations on two topics: our new environment and energy vision, and transformation to a new management style, initiatives which were announced on September 28th. Also, toward the end, we've set aside time for a Q&A session with our President and CEO, Mr. Sawada. We hope that you'll participate during the Q&A session as well. We intend to conclude the program at about 5:30 p.m. Japan time. Today's program will be distributed live over internet. Also, the program will become available on an on-demand basis for distribution. We appreciate your kind understanding beforehand. So without further ado, we'd like to go on to the first topic, which is our new environmental and energy vision. We'd like to invite Mr. Shimada, the Senior Executive Vice President of NTT Holding Company, Mr. Hido, who is the Senior Executive Vice President of NTT Docomo, and also Mr. Takama, the President of NTT Anode Energy, and invite them to carry out their presentation. So I'd like to hand over to you, sirs. Thank you very much. My name is Jimadathi, the Senior Executive Vice President of NTT. Thank you for joining us at NTT IR Day. We appreciate your kind attendance. First, allow me to talk about NTT Group's new environmental and energy vision entitled NTT Green Innovation Toward 2040 at the outset. Through reduction of environmental impact through business activities and creation of breakthrough innovation, we would like to simultaneously achieve zero environmental impact and economic growth, which might seem contradictory. So, in the context of NTT Green Innovation Toward 2040, we are focused on the following. In 2030, we will achieve 80% reduction of greenhouse gas emission compared to fiscal year 2013 for NTT Group as a whole, and also for mobile, embracing NTT data and data centers. We will achieve carbon neutral for all of mobile and data centers, and also we will achieve carbon neutral for NTT Group as a whole in fiscal year 2040. That is the vision. So, in terms of achieving carbon neutral, compared to fiscal year 2013, 4.65 million CO2 emission is being carried out. As you can see right now, it is down to 4 million tons at this moment. So if we leave this to the natural scenario, this will double, or approximately 180% increase will be envisioned. So the dotted red line on the top will be the basis for this natural scenario, which means that the emission will double in 2040 compared to fiscal year 2013. Now, against this trend, in order to achieve the carbon neutral illustrated by the red straight line, the following three initiatives will be implemented. The first initiative is ION. With introduction of ION technology, we will lower energy consumption and cut back and reduce greenhouse gas emission by 45%. The second policy is as follows. We'll introduce renewables and reduce greenhouse gas emission by 45% as a result of renewables. Furthermore, through energy conservation measures, the remaining 10% will be reduced in order to achieve carbon neutral as a whole. Also, we'll be introducing an internal carbon pricing system in fiscal 2022 and implement procurement system that will give due consideration to carbon pricing, so that we may further make progress toward carbon neutrality. That is what we have in mind. Then what about power consumption? What about energy consumption? So let us take a look at the transition of energy consumption. As you can see, in 2013, energy consumption is 8.3 billion kilowatt hour. Every year, this is increasing due to increasing data traffic. Right now, it is about 9 billion kilowatt per kilowatt hour is being consumed. Now, by fiscal year 2030, the energy consumption should be peaked out. That is what we would like to achieve. And fiscal year 2040, as was mentioned earlier, we would like to reach the carbon neutral phase at that time. So in 2030, we are aiming for 80% utilization of renewables at that time. And toward the latter half, the latter decade, we will be introducing ION to achieve carbon neutral. That is what we would like to achieve. Now, just the other day, our president, Mr. Sawada, mentioned that in 2030, roughly 10 billion cost increase could be envisioned as a result of tackling these measures. The major component of that cost increase is the charges related to renewables will be increasing. So that is a very large bulk of this cost. But having said that, what will happen to the system in place and what will happen to the charges on the users of renewables, that deliberation will take place, I would imagine. So there are some things that are not yet transparent at this moment. But in any event, the timing after the peaking out of the red line, the cost will be coming down because the consumption will be coming down. That is what we have in mind. So in the first half, we will be maximizing the use of renewables, and toward the second half, through ION technology, we hope to offset carbon. That is the type of activity which we will be considering. Now, aside from that, what about NTT contributions to reducing society's environmental impact? That's what we would like to naturally do. There are three major initiatives in this regard. By expanding adoption of ION technology from telecom field into other industries, we believe we will be able to reduce greenhouse gas emission. For example, in case of Japan, with this, we'll be able to reduce 0.2. We'll be able to reduce this by 200 million tons, 2 million tons. That reduction rate with 4% on global scale, this will be 15 billion tons of reduction, which will be the reduction percentage will be 2%. Also, with the acceleration of DX, we'll be able to further reduce the impact, and also we'll be able to reduce the greenhouse gas emission over the whole supply chain. Through this, we'd like to contribute. And secondly, this will be introduced by Mr. Hiro, the Senior Executive Vice President of Docomo later, but Green 5G, carbon neutral related services will be supplied. The third, this will be strengthening development and expanding the introduction of NTT renewable energy plan. Mr. Takama, the president of NTT IR Energy, will talk about R&D in relation to renewables later on. So these are some of the major initiatives. Please take a look at the bottom, green of ICT on the bottom. This relates to the introduction of ION and expansion of renewable energy, and also R&D of ION will translate to low power consumption. Also, as was mentioned earlier, we want to reduce environmental impact on the society. Also, it's important that we introduce innovative environmental technology. That's what we would like to tackle going forward. Now, so we need to shift away from conventional consumption business to a decarbonization type of business operation. We need to translate to a cyclic type of operation. This will be a major transformation. As far as this initiative is concerned, for example, could be that we could review the current energy environmental vision going forward. And based on this, our group members and employees will be able to understand the activities of these initiatives and will actually, on their own volition, improve their cyclical business operations and also translate and make transition to decarbonized type of business activities. Based on such improvement, hopefully the overall vision could be reviewed at that stage. So we will be pursuing a cyclic type of activity, and the company and the group as a whole will come together in addressing these initiatives. Then without further ado, I would like to now invite Mr. Hiroi, Senior Executive Vice President of Docomo, to talk about Docomo's initiative. Mr. Hiroi, please.
Hello, everybody. I am Hiroi from Docomo. Today, I would like to talk about Docomo's initiatives. First of all, in our mobile phone business and with the environmental issues, what is the relationship between the two? Our network services, even under COVID, allowed remote work and other possibilities, and our services are understood to be low burden on the environment by the society. Yet, as you can see on this slide, there is a lot involved in our value chain for us to provide services, and from our value chain, we emit a lot of CO2s. So if I specifically convert with one smartphone, 88 kilograms of CO2 is emitted from one smartphone and convert it to cars. Let's say there is 180 million smartphones. This amounts to 10 million cars from their driving, equivalent to CO2 emissions as much, which means 18 smartphones emit as much CO2 as one car. In other words, the telecommunications industry has a great responsibility on the environment. So Docomo, with leading-edge technology, we will be thoroughly enhancing energy efficiency, and we will be procuring renewable energy. Through this, we will also be reducing CO2 emissions. So contribution to solve the environmental issues is certainly a corporate mission for Docomo. But then, how are we going to raise efficiency and conserve energy specifically? If you look at the middle of the slide, by being thorough in network energy consumption efficiency enhancing, for example, in our base stations, if there are no one in the specific area, the radio waves will not be emitted and will switch to the sleep mode. And we will also use direct current technology, which will have less electricity transmission losses to promote energy efficiency improvements. And as you can also see to the right, we will be procuring more renewable energies. In NTT Group, we have NTT Anode Energy, and they will be primarily responsible for procuring energy and renewable energy for the NTT Group. And then, as you can see to the very left, the holding companies R&D is leading the R&D of ION, and through ION, we will be overwhelmingly less power consuming so that we can in the future contribute to much less power consumption. And in providing mobile phone services, we emit CO2 ourselves too. But in our value chain, we make up the whole value chain with various partners. For example, Docomo Shop. With our distributors, we work together. And with our distributors, we will turn green the Docomo shops. We will install solar panels on the roofs to cover for all the electricity needed in the shops. And to procure, we are procuring various network equipments and devices from many suppliers, and we will be actively pursuing procurement of eco-friendly products. Through these efforts, in Docomo in 2030, we will be realizing carbon neutrality. Conventionally, we have had the SBT target saying that by 2030, we want to reduce CO2 emissions 50%, but we will further accelerate to achieve carbon neutrality by 2030. But we think that carbon neutrality efforts by Docomo alone is not sufficient to solve the issue of the environment of the whole society. People in general, their awareness about the environmental issues and efforts to reduce CO2, we cannot say is sufficiently yet, as far as we are concerned. In addition to efforts for ourselves, we think that we need to encourage further to the society to broaden the CO2 reduction activities. Docomo has engagements with many users. We also have various touch points with our partners. So working together with these people, we want to move ahead. Specifically, what are we going to do? As you can see here, first of all is green 5G. We will be providing green 5G. Our 5G network is very energy efficient service. On top, we will be using renewables in providing this service. Specifically, what are we going to do? Out of all the power consumed by Docomo, the percentage of renewable energy is one thing. And out of all the line services provided by Docomo, and there is 5G service percentage. And these two percentages we will be matching and to raise to the same. Therefore, Docomo's 5G will be provided by renewables. And the users, if the users use our 5G more and more, then we will be further procuring renewable energy more and more, ultimately making the world greener. And then the following was announced the other day, which is that we will, starting from next year, March, will enter into electricity business. Together with mobile phone, we will provide electricity services as life infrastructure in one stop. There will be linkage with Docomo points and there will be convenience for users. And at the start of this service, we will also provide Docomo Denki Green derived from renewables. We will provide Docomo Denki Green and Green 5G, indispensable infrastructure for you. And they will be provided by Docomo using renewable energy. And in addition to Docomo Points investment menu, we will add environment contribution themes, and within D-Fashion, we will also be providing products using sustainable recycled materials for D-Fashion. And we want to work together with everybody to achieve carbon neutrality and to be more effective. We have come up with a nickname for our activities, which is Kabonyu. Carbon neutral, in short, Kabonyu. The wishes and ideas behind this naming we have put together into a short video. Please have a look.
カーボンニュートラル、それは二酸化炭素の排出吸収量をプラスマイナスゼロの状態にすること。とても大切な社会課題だからこそ、みんながもっと楽しく取り組める方法をドコモは考えました。カーボンニュートラルをもっと身近に、そして誰でも楽しく参加できるプラットフォーム、カボニュー。この子はカボニュー。みんながカーボンニュートラルに貢献すると、カボニューが CO2 を吸い込んでいきます。みんなで力を合わせてカボニューを成長させよう。カボニューは人、企業をつなぎ、カーボンを減らした量を楽しく可視化します。ドコモはパートナーの皆様と共に、みんなが楽しみながらカーボンを減らせるカボニューなサービス、製品や取り組みを日常にどんどん増やしていきます。カボニューなアクションが日常になった時、私たちの世界は大きく変わっていくでしょう。ドコモはみんなでやればそんな世界を実現し、未来の地球を変えられると信じています。
How was it? This Kabonyu eats CO2 more and more, and Kabonyu increases in number. In this way, CO2 reduction actions that may not be so apparent can be visualized and be made into something close to us. We want to connect various environmental related services that we provide with Kabonyu. And how are we going to connect? As a specific method, we will be providing Kabonyu platform. Web and app type services here can be expressed in Kabonyu unit of measurement, how much CO2 emissions has been reduced. But what I want to say here is it's It's not that just simply increasing the number of kabonyu and gathering more kabonyus is good. We are not just appealing to the game-like feel. What we think the biggest issue is the efforts of CO2 reductions. The users say that they cannot really feel such efforts are visual. So we want to express in a more visual manner, and we want to disclose to you the conversion method of kabonyu to CO2, and we will disclose, and with a high level of accountability and receiving various feedback, we want to continue to make improvements before finishing up. And as to this platform, we want to invite various companies and organizations with similar aspirations. We want to broaden these activities to the whole of the Japan and further on to the whole world. This is today's summary. We will realize carbon neutrality by 2030 for our own initiative. In addition, with customers, partners, and Docomo together, with the three of us together, we will be working on carbon neutral. Our new corporate slogan is changing worlds with you. Our wish behind the phrase with you is to be open. With users, partners, and various people, we want to work openly. Changing worlds means not limited to communications, but in various domains by use of ICT technologies and the power of innovation. We want to solve social issues. Saving our planet with you. Together with you, Docomo wishes to work in the area of the environment, making the planet green and realize a sustainable society. This is all for my presentation.
ひろいさんありがとうございます。
Thank you very much, Mr. Hiroi. Next, we would like to turn to the president of the operating company that handles energy business within NTT Group. We'd like to invite Mr. Takama, the president of NTT Anode Energy, to talk about this topic towards the expansion of renewable energies. Thank you very much, Mr. Shimada, for your introduction. My name is Takama of NTT Anode Energy. Thank you for joining us despite your busy schedule. I want to introduce the activities of NTT Anode Energy. Our company was established as an operating company within NTT Group that handles energy business back in June of 2019. I would like to show you a very short video introducing our company. It's about a minute and a half long. Please take a look at this video. Thank you.
この美しい星で暮らす私たち人類は大自然と共生し、時に翻弄されながら力強く、そしてたくましくそのエネルギーを活用し命を受け継いできました。エナジー、それは全ての源だからこそ、そのエネルギーを私たち人類が豊かに享受するために今できることから始めます。私たち NTT アノードエナジーは人々の生活を安心でより豊かにするためにエネルギーを通じて何ができるかを考えました。 NTT がこれまで培ってきた ICT 技術や直流給電技術を駆使し、さらに価値あるエネルギー流通の在り方を創造します。今私たち人類が直面する温暖化問題や大規模な自然災害に対し、再生可能エネルギー EV 蓄電池を ICT でつなぎ、パートナーと共に災害に強いエネルギー流通の仕組みを作り上げます。地球のため、未来のため、皆様と共に NTT アノードエナジー。
Thank you for watching our video. There is now growing awareness of the society as a whole toward achieving decarbonized society, starting with the statement on carbon neutral made by Prime Minister Suga back in October of 2020. I'm sure that this is well known to all of you. NTT Anode Energy is supplying renewable energy generated at a renewable power plant to customers seeking decarbonization in order to meet the expectation of the society as a whole. More specifically, we will be installing renewable energy power plant, which is our asset, on the customer's premises and provide renewable energy to customers' facilities on site. So our on-site PPA format is being used by customers such as Kumashira Seishakusho, Daiichi Sankyo Chemical Pharma, and Furukawa Electric Company. Furthermore, Seven & i Holdings became the first case in Japan for off-site PPA format where renewable energy and power is supplied through the grid and transmission network from our renewable power generation plant in remote location. Ennet, which is a group company for NTT Anode Energy, is providing Green as part of menu for CO2 emission reduction from 2017. Please take a look at the bottom of the chart. Green is being used by a large customer base with 2,600 contracts being the most recent number. As you can see, our company is providing various decarbonization solutions to our customers. I would like to talk about NTT Group, if I may. Our group consumes power nationwide in order to maintain telecommunication infrastructure that extends over the country of Japan as a whole. If we add the power consumption of NTT Group companies, it accounts for roughly 1% of Japan's power consumption. If we can cover the power consumed by NTT Group with renewables, then we will indeed be able to contribute toward decarbonization. Now, as of 2020, NTT Group owns roughly 400 million kilowatt-hour equivalent renewable power generation plants. As was mentioned by Mr. Shimada earlier, towards achieving goals set forth in the new environmental and energy vision, we will be promoting development of renewable power generation plants so that in 2030 we can provide 3.8 billion kilowatt-hour renewables, which is roughly 10 times compared to today. This will be equivalent to power for all of households in Fukuoka City, roughly 800,000 households. So we'll be developing the renewable power plants in this fashion. NTT Group has many centers throughout Japan to accommodate various telecom facilities. With regard to various sites throughout Japan, including more than 7,000 NTT buildings, we will establish storage battery so that we can charge and discharge and carry out and also build battery firms. Going forward, renewable power generation plant will be increasing in number, but it's been said that renewables such as solar power, wind power are unstable source of power that can be swayed by climate. With discharging and charging of storage batteries at the battery farm, we will be contributing to stabilization of the grid, and by avoiding output suppression at solar power plants, it will be able to reduce loss of renewable energies. Also, by promoting local generation for local consumption of renewables that are generated at power plants based on nationwide entity power load, we will please take a look at the left-hand side. This shows you the map of Japan as a whole. Throughout Japan, nationwide, entity facilities are installed. So by pursuing local generation for local consumption, we'll aim to achieve energy efficiency such as reducing power transmission loss and avoid additional investment of grids. With local generation for local consumption that can be achieved through effective use of battery farms and entity groups' power load, we will aim for efficient smart grid and will facilitate an environment that is amenable for connection to renewable energy plants. Going forward, NTT Anode Energy will endeavor to solve various challenges toward decarbonization, not only of NTT Group companies, but of society as a whole. Thank you very much for your kind attention.